Audio Jungle.
Oh yeah! What do you get when you put four of the most opinionated grown-ass single men on one show? You get the Middle-Aged Still Single podcast! Let's meet the crew!
Audio Jungle.
Mitchell! Nasir!
Audio Jungle.
Nemo! Big Rob! Let's get it!
Hello everybody, this is Nemo from Middle-Aged Still Single. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Peace.
Welcome back to another episode of Middle-Aged Still Single, the podcast. I have all the fellas with me, Mitch, Nemo, and Nas, and we have a very, very special guest today. Now, this is a young lady that I saw her on YouTube, and I was like, wow, I think she would really be a good addition to our podcast. And so we connected, and I'm so happy that she came on today. We're going to get a chance to talk to her. Let's all welcome Miss Kristi Hiller. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time, Kristi.
All right. So Kristi is a life coach for men, specifically for men. And like most of us, and I talked to the gentleman when we talked about, the topic of the show, we don't really know what a life coach does or life coach for men does. So why don't you tell us what you do, Kristi?
Well, I basically provide, I don't like the term life coach. Personally, I find it sounds like you need something that you don't already have. And so I like to now call myself a skilled friend. So I like to just help men sort their shit out. Like, this is my first question when I talk to a new person. I'll say, hey, like, who do you go to sort things out with? And it's always like, well, in my head. And, rarely do men seek therapy. And typically it's when it's a little too late. And I think therapy is great. Don't get me wrong. It came to me that I gained enough skills in my own personal journey, which is never done. And I would never say I have all the answers because I don't. I actually pull your answers out of you. I don't tell people to do anything. I mean, I have suggestions, right? Like books or things you can ask, questions you can ask a woman or something. But I think you guys are smart. I think you're really smart. And I just guide. I just walk with. I just don't think that men have enough resources or have been able to believe they should be utilized by them. And I think we're in a new world. I mean, things aren't working, right? I mean, I see it. I'm in your world. We're all in the same world. And I think it's time that we have to do a little bit of shifting in our brains in terms of where we've been, what we've seen, through our parents and other relationships. And hey, the choices are so vast. I think that's what makes it so hard sometimes, is that it's like, oh God, what do I want? And then how do I want to create my new relationship? We're not doing things the same way that people used to. So we're in a new world. And now how do you navigate? Well, personally, I don't think you can do anything and be successful at it without learning. It's really just about skills. So I help teach the skills that I have found personally amazing because I've seen my own results. Now, I would never teach something that I don't know about. And I'm certainly honest enough to say, like, never been through that one before. You tell me what it's like. So, but at the end of the day, the skills, the basic skills, you know them all already and you already have them. It's just how do you utilize them honestly, with confidence, and the belief that you can have what you want. That's what I basically teach.
Okay, so you said something about your personal journey. Tell us about your personal journey. Like what do we need to know about Miss Kristi?
Oh, I have been a seeker since the day I remember being around, 17. I was reading books like Light His Fire. And relationships fascinated me. Men, I always loved men. I loved the attention of men. I was raised very well. I had two brothers, a sister, parents that were together. And I still had my own little bit of struggle with, full security, I always had confidence, but maybe self-esteem, looking externally for it. So I had to go on my own journey of reclaiming my own power to say, hey, who am I really? And what do I want in my life? And it's just been years of books and I mean, now with podcasts, and I've just learned so much that you come to a place where you have such peace and joy. And I've really just mastered who I am. Not that I have things I don't need to work on, but I've accepted that there's some things I have to work on and some things I don't. I just accept them. I don't have to change. I'll decide. And that's what I think one of the biggest things is I've been able to navigate through the different parts of learning. When you're learning about yourself, it's not easy because you have to make changes that will challenge you. You know, if you say you want to be this kind of person, well, you got to go out and now do that in the world. You great to read a book, but if you don't apply that book, you're not going to get the skill. And I think that's where my hand holding is that, okay, let's take this now and practice it. So it's awesome because it makes life super fun because you get to practice. You know, nobody's testing us. There's no end game. There's no, pardon?
What'd you say, Mitch?
Is the key. I said taking action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, you could
And
read
we
a book
all
all
need
day
little-
long. Yep. You could read a book once, twice, 3 times, but it doesn't do any good unless you take action.
Yeah. And I just think that's the exciting part. So I come from a place where I can't teach, again, what I said, I can't teach what I haven't healed within myself. And there's just getting a handful of skills will bring so much peace and comfort to your own life. You know, like non-judgment, super big skill, super tough because it's in us. We're all human, right? So our humanity is what we're up against. And we're all, I mean, come on, we're all hurt. We're all hurt little kids. We didn't get our needs met. We didn't, we weren't, it's been hard. We've all had hurt in our life, all at different times, but we got to heal that stuff because hurt people. So we got to heal the hurt inside. And that takes, I've had guys be like, I definitely need to work with you. I'm not ready. And so it's okay. It's okay. It's not for everybody. This work is not for everybody. What do you got, Nemo? I think that means you need to speak.
that means he needs. You've seen enough of the podcast to know Nemo needs to speak. Go ahead, Nemo.
What do you got?
My question is, what is one major skill that you've learned or changed or that you've noticed that made you who you are today?
Ooh, I think the biggest one has been self-love. The biggest one, like that complete self-acceptance. To look at this stuff, to look at the tapes that I replayed and over of the hurt, right? My mom said it once, I carried it for 20 years, that kind of crap. I had to forgive myself for believing it for so long. And I believe self-love is everybody's number one. Be your own best friend. Well, it's easy to say, but I see it all the time. I'm like, don't say that about yourself. Even if people are joking. Well, jokes, see, the things we say become beliefs. Esther Hicks says it beautifully. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. And a lot of times we have to change our beliefs about ourselves first. Because I believe if you're not good for anybody. Because we bring all that hurt into any kind of relationship, any relationship. I mean, I love male-female relationships, but all these skills affect every relationship. So that's what I love. And so, yeah, self-love is my number one answer on the board for sure.
Yeah.
Mitch, what you got, brother?
Well, I like what you had to say. And one of the analogies that came to my head was watching two people play chess. They see the board in one perspective, but being on the outside, you see things they might not or they do not. And I as a skill provider, is what you do is you provide them a new perspective, right? And that's what came to mind when you were just talking about you're on the outside looking in and probably seeing what they are not. I'm guessing. That's just my take on what you had to say. I do have a question in regards to why life coach for men versus life coach. You don't like that. You don't like that. Why be a skill provider for men instead of a skill provider for women?
We can call me life coach. Everyone knows what it is. I just wanted to kind of soften it, be like, I'm just a friend. Okay, well, great question. And it's the exact question I had to ask before I even decided to get into this business. I mean, I was in oil and gas for almost 20 years. So doing this was new for me. And of course, number one, right? What's the niche? And is there a problem that I have a solution, or else I have no business, right? So I started with young girls because I thought, okay, what's something I've gotten it. And it was, for me, it's probably confidence and self-esteem. And so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great for me to help these young girls, early 20s. If they could get this skill, their life will be so much better. They don't have to make the mistakes I made. And I started to play with it a little bit because I have a niece that was in that category of age. And what came to me was, you know what, you girls go live, go take your 20s, make mistakes, figure out what your thing is. Everybody's got that thing, that challenge that's always there, whether it's relationships, finance, health, body image issues, whatever it is. And I just didn't think they had enough experience in life to even know if they needed help. So I was like, hey, no, that's not it. I'm not going to do that. And then honestly, my girlfriend had this buddy of hers calling her, and she's like, listen, this is what Kristi does for a living. Just call her. And so he did. And so we had a quick talk. He threw money in my bank account and we went for it there. And so then my mentor was like, what do you think about this coaching men thing? And I was like, can't believe I didn't think about it myself. Like, of course, it made so much sense. And then that's what got me into she said, go home and journal it for a bit. And I was like, wrote about 6 pages just nonstop of how much I've always loved and respected men, because I think you guys are brilliant. I think you have a tenacity. I think you have focus. I think you have drive. Like, you have traits that, for sure, I'll just speak for me and not other women, but traits that I always looked up to. Strength, great, big, huge hearts. And I just always was a little bit, I think earlier when I was younger, I was a little bit jealous of men. Like, of course, I went through my hating men stage and, thinking it was all them. And it was just so awesome because I think, like, I'm on your side. You don't have to talk me into that you're amazing, because you are. So then it's just been easy ever since. Nemo.
I'm not going to give you this yet, but I'm going to calm it down. Now, you said something about man strengths, and I know you're not talking about Big Rob. He's not a man. But how long have you been doing this?
Well, like, particularly coaching men, like, for a living?
Yes.
Like a year. But
a year.
I mean, not long. I don't have a ton of 10 years experience doing this, but I also I'm a real slow, I'm financially, that's not my motivation. So I'm not really out hitting pavement. I've called 30 of the guys that I know that I trust. And I started out and I just thought, well, I'm going to take them for a beer and I asked them some questions to see if what I want to offer is a necessity in the world. Because if it's not, and they're not willing, then nobody's going to pay me. And it turns out I'll have to do something else for money at some point. So I have to say, the time I've been doing it is no reflection of how good I am at it. It just is, I go live at the lake in the summer. My dad passed away a couple years ago. So then it was time with them. And then it was time with my mom because, of course, she was alone. So, I kind of put my life first before career, because gratefully I'm in a place where I can do that right now. So not too long, but long enough to know it is a thing. Men are open to it. And I think it's going to become a real big thing one day because, of course, my intuition says go do it.
Okay. So what is the process like? So if you get a client, does it take a month, 2 weeks to reserve or to figure out what is actually going on with the guy? What is that process like?
Oh, Nemo, that is a great question because there's no cookie cutter answer because every man is different. So some men are really open. Some men are really confused. It's very hard to even get clarity on what can I actually help you with? I always start out with okay, if I had a magic wand, right? What would you want to change? Because I need to know where we're headed in order to get someone there. And, there's been times where it's been really hard for me to get them clear. What is it? So, and again, some people stay with me. I've had the first guy the whole time, not all the time, but people don't have problems all the time. But when you have an issue and you want to get through it, that's when you pick up the phone and let's schedule a time. Let's go for a beer. Let's talk this out. I like to start with 4 sessions because it gives me a bit of a commitment that they're willing. And, but yeah, it's not really a timeline. And then, of course, to get the result, well, that depends if they start doing the work, right?
Okay.
But
So
yes,
well,
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nemo.
So I was
Hey,
going to say,
Nemo, you're going to have to pay her for a session.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's
Trying to
good
get
trying to-
questions
session on
already.
that.
I'm trying to get
You're
clarification.
racking up the
on what you-
charges, my friend.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nemo.
So I was going to say, so the individual could have multiple issues. It could be a relationship, it could be a job situation, it could be a friendship conflict, and you are a skill coach that can help with that, correct?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
That's
just
a
wanted
good
to get a
question.
clarification on that.
All right. Nas, what you got, brother?
I'm going to take Nemo's question and try to see if we could get it fleshed out a little bit more. So some guys have issues with getting clarity on direction. You know, like a lot of us have so many things that we want to do, and we just can't figure out the correct path, you know, or how to crystallize it, or is this the proper way? Is that the proper way? Because if when you're good at a lot of different things, it can make you not good at anything because you never get started, right? Um, in the sessions, is that something that you is that have you had a gentleman who you helped to crystallize some of the ideas, whether it's with a personal relationship or with a career or business or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. For the most part, most guys know what they want help with, right? Like, and you know, I'm having a hard time. My client's confidentiality is very important to me. So I'm not going to flap on YouTube that these are their issues. And I want to, and say 5 years from now, or maybe even 2 years, I can be like, okay, I've done this long enough where I'm like, okay, you guys have about a handful of things that are really, you know, Sean, you're just uncertain what to do or how to get that thing. So, you know, without being transparent on what my guys are going through, I think we all know what challenges are ahead, right? Either you're single and you want someone, either you're in a marriage and you're not, it's just kind of flavorless. You know, we got to spark things up a bit. It's, you know, I haven't had a lot of job questions come up because I do think, for me personally, like, I think that's where you guys are really good. And there's other coaches that are specific in business. I would definitely take it on relationships in business. You know, is there someone you need to talk to? Are you wanting more money? Like, okay, is it confidence you need? Is it like scheduling the appointment? Like, what is it? And so the thing is none of it's hard. Like, once they know what they want to achieve, it's really not hard to get it. And so it's like, you guys are all single. Are you all single still?
Middle age, still single.
Yeah, okay. You're gonna have to change your title when that changes, hey?
Yeah. No.
So that's perfect. So what? Do you want someone in your life? Okay, well, let's get you that. Because we all get what we want. And you get what you want, whether you want it or not. It's based on what are you thinking about. That's what you're gonna get. I don't need no fortune teller, let me tell you that. I know exactly what's coming to me because I know what I'm thinking. I know where my thoughts are, and I'll attract it. So that's some of the work we do.
Okay.
We do? When you
Like
say
you and I
what
would do, or whoever
Okay.
I'm working
Okay.
with.
Mhm.
Rob, sorry.
No. Go ahead, Mitch. You have a question, Mitch?
No, not really. I do want to point out that I like that you're coming from a place that isn't about, oh, I spent 8 years in college and then 4 years getting my PhD, and then now I'm giving advice with no life experience. I like the fact that you're out there not bragging about how much money you spent on a college education. 20 years, you said, in oil and gas. So you were around a lot of men in a male-dominated industry. So there's a lot of life experience there. So I really get where you're coming from. And originally I had a question about why you as opposed to, say, a PhD therapist or something like that. But I actually like this position so much better because of where you've come from. That's not a question. It's just what I'm pulling from you, and I really like it. So
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, because I think everybody comes out thinking, well, see, and that's what for me, I can do this because I have a lot of confidence. And so that would hold a lot of people back, that not feeling not good enough, right? Like when I'm learning about business as an entrepreneur also, and I hear these people talk about imposter syndrome, and I'm like, I get it. Apparently it's a thing, but I'm like, well, if you feel like an imposter, you probably are. Like, I would never think that I don't know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And if I don't, I'll tell you. But it's not so, I don't have all the answers. I would never do that. But I have, you know how many degrees I have based on the learning I've done? Way more than somebody that's gone and got a degree. And then what, right? We're all so busy in our jobs. And this is here's my little why I believe everyone should one day have a life coach. Because you guys don't have the time that it takes, and I know how long it takes because I've done it, to invest in yourself and to learn these skills and then to practice these skills. Like, you guys can't sit around meditating, learning, asking questions, finding answers. Like, you don't have time for all that. You got a job. A lot of people have kids. Like, I see it. And I'm like, no freaking wonder people are unhappy, man. Like, they just haven't had the time. Like, you know?
I think
guys are going to relate to you because for me, because I'm a Marine, you kind of like a lady Marine.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
That's a good point.
So it's kind of right. So it's kind of like like I went to got counseling.
Yeah.
And she was like really soft spoken and and like this. And I was yawning in her face. Like, you can't get to me like that. You have to and I think most men are like that. Like, if we want somebody to give it to us straight, no chaser.
Right.
And I think that's where, and plus I'm suspect of people, not just because of their, like, you can have a degree and not know a thing.
Yeah.
You can have a degree and you can just be a good test taker, right?
Yeah.
But people who are really good at what they do, you can just tell, and because one thing you do is you look at the results that they get, and you look at how people identify with them. And so, I mean, I already know you could probably help all of us if we needed it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But remember, the key here is who's willing to step up and then do the work and be honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that a lot of times what I've heard about therapy, and please don't get me wrong, I think any modality is fantastic. Learn and grow, period. But just like doctors and dentists, there's good ones and there's not so good ones. And it's not that they're not good. They just might not be good for you because you're very unique. You're not special, but you're very unique. So make sure that you find what, you're going to sit and talk to this person. Half of that's me too. When I go research my dudes, half of it's I'm interviewing to see if I want to work with them because this is my life. I have to have a good time. So you got to have a bit of chemistry, like a comfort, because the more you feel comfortable with me, the more you're going to get out of you that I need to know in order to help you. So who you pick is excellent. Back to therapies and stuff. So what I've learned from my research from my guys is that, it's very much sometimes one-sided. They feel slighted with the woman. Like, sometimes they felt like they're just not heard. And I don't know, I'm just casual. Like, guys are like, oh, you're like therapy with a beer. I'm like, yeah, like whatever. I mean, when I was in oil and gas, I was having drinks with my customers all the time. So It's very social and it's very light. I'm very light. As much as I want to get to the truth and get you the result, I'm not here to, we're not here to stay in the sandbox of like, what's wrong with you? Like, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
You just haven't had, you've just, well, let me ask, can I ask all you guys?
Sure.
Question?
Certainly.
So what
Bring
have
it.
you guys
Take a
done?
fifth.
Yeah. You don't have to answer the question, but I'm going to ask the question.
You can ask any question you want.
Like, what have you guys done in your however many years? How many books have you read about how to have a great relationship?
Mm.
About 3. I've read at least 3.
Great
I'm
answer.
looking at it right now. Yeah.
Good.
Probably.
I'm gonna say.
Go ahead,
Go
Rob.
ahead. Go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead, Mitch.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
go ahead, brother.
Nope.
Okay,
You've
so I'm
been
gonna
quiet.
say probably about maybe 2 or 3 chapters in maybe 2 or 3 different books.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't know that I've actually really finished a book on relationships, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, to follow up with that, no books at all about relationships. But like Rob said, some of the self-help books about getting your life in order, exercise, take care of yourself first, that type of thing, it talks about relationships and how they interact. So a couple chapters here and there, depending on the book that I'm reading, but nothing specific about relationships. And Nemo can't read,
Nemo-
Do you
so
mean
he
like?
doesn't have an answer to
Do
this.
you mean? Do you mean like? Well, you don't mean like scholarly type books, right? Or just regular author,
No, like things,
just relationship books. Like, okay.
like how to communicate effectively in a relationship, or like what do women really want, or like how to give your lover the best sex she's ever had. Like, how have you?
Oh, I got a whole row on that.
That was going to be
But
in that area.
but what I was going to ask you is, what do you think about Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, or something like that? What do you think about that book?
I think it's awesome. I think
Yeah, I read that one.
I don't
read that
think,
one.
here's one thing I've learned of all my learning is that there's a lot of smart people in the world, and so are you, and so am I. So for a while, I was reading so much, all of a sudden, I couldn't make a decision. I was asking everybody about, should I stay with this guy? I mean, I lost all sense of what the heck do I think? I'm smart. Like, what about me? Why am I doing what everybody else says? That I need to go within. And that's why I named my business what I named it, because of everything I ever learned was like, you know what? Actually, the answer starts within me. That's where first I got to know me. What do I want?
Yeah.
Now, okay, we figure out the how. The how is easy. Half the time you don't even have to do anything. You just have to ask. So,
Personally, I haven't read any relationship book. Maybe that's why I'm having such a difficult time finding the right person.
That's not the only reason, Nemo. That is not the only reason.
You don't know me like that, Rob. Don't bring it up. You
I
don't
know
me
enough,
like
bro. I know
You
enough.
don't know me like that. Okay.
You should
But
ask your friends
because
for a list.
I'm always
We'll help
going
you out.
back and forth. What was that, Mitch?
I said you should ask your friends right here for a list. We'll help you out with that.
We got plenty of lists for you, brother.
Rob is the last person I want to be taking advice from.
So before we lose the reason why I asked the question is, how do you expect to get a result depending, like, and looking at the work you've done to put in, right? And you guys aren't alone. I mean, I don't even know very many men that have done that. But it begs the question, why the hell not? Do you think we have to do it all? Like, we all have work to do. I have said this on my video. This isn't about men versus women. I love men and I'm going to work with men. I believe men, it's time that men have a place to go that's not therapy and that somebody's on their side. And that's all. But, what are you doing to get the result out of your life? And I believe that work for you guys will used to fill you, or even if it even does, you guys have put so much into your career. And that is a stage of man. And it is really beautiful, actually. But there's a lot of other things that create joy in a life. And I think it's time to look at all the different places. I think, but that's why I ask you guys, like, maybe you don't care. But if you want a great relationship, you need some great skills. Period. End of story. and stop comparing.
Your focus is relationship.
Yeah, it's my preference. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's why my question was off earlier.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, when I wanted to learn how to be a video editor, I grabbed a book and started reading how to be a video editor and watch YouTube videos. But you're right. Like, I have not read a book on how to have a successful relationship, and hence I have not had a successful relationship. So
And no, sweetie, that's not why you don't have a successful relationship. We can all have them, but they're better if you have better skills and they're easier.
Sure. Mhm.
So it's okay, and it's okay that you don't, but let's get ready to be ready. I mean, don't
Yeah,
you
that's
you
true.
want a relationship, but don't you also, once you find it, don't you want to be able to keep it? You know?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you guys have so much power. Like, I believe you can get any girl you want, but you do kind of have to know what women want. We're not that hard to get. And I know I've heard you guys talking about this whole, and I'm with you that women are way too masculine today, blah, blah. We've been taught it. It's not our fault, but we do need accountability to be like, okay, wait, we need to warm up. We need to warm up the hearth, like we got to be there for our man, but you guys got to be the men. And that's why we all have work to do. So let's just talk about it. Let's let our masks down a little bit. Let's show who we really are. Yes, that takes courage. But in the end, I just think it's so much better. You attract a better person for you. You get through struggles easier. You don't have to hold a bunch of resentments and then have to break up 10 years later, 2 years later. Like, it's just better. So in the meantime, you're single. What are you doing in the meantime to get ready to be ready?
Somebody here, all he wants to do is go to Thailand, and that is not going to get him ready. I'm not going to say any names.
No problem. Go to Thailand. Like I told Rob, and I talked on the phone before, and I was like, hey, the only thing is you take yourself with you wherever you go. Just be aware of that.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, I ask you a question, Kristi. You talk about you research the guys that you work with before you work with them. Like, what kind of research do you do?
Yes, not always. Sometimes, I mean, if somebody just instantly wants to work with me through a referral or something, of course, like I'll work with anybody. But my process is, as I do this, I need to always be learning, right? Just also practicing what I'm preaching. I need to stay up on what guys really want. I need to stay up on what are their challenges. I need to learn, what's going on for you. And so my questions are all very kind of high level, but men have not been listened to. Sometimes they just love the conversation because I ask a question and I shut up and I listen because I know what I know, but that's sad to me. Men don't have they are not talking to their guys about this stuff. And it's not serious stuff. It's just life stuff. So did I answer the question? What do I talk to them about?
Yeah, well, just as far as like how much research do you actually put in, and like, have you turned down guys and said, no, I don't want to work with you?
No, I've never turned
on the individual person.
Yeah, that you're doing the research on. Yeah.
No, I haven't turned down anybody yet.
Okay.
But the purpose of my research is actually, it's kind of my way to market myself, to be honest. It's for me to learn and them to know that this is out there for them because they don't know about it. And again, it's a real, I think, to talk to somebody about your true feelings and what's really going on takes a large amount of trust. And I don't think you get that from a YouTube video. I just don't know if you do. But when I'm sitting across from someone and we're looking at each other's eyes and I can touch their arms sometimes and it's personal. I mean, I really care about people. So it's, it's a relationship. So I want to meet with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nemo.
So when you just talked about meeting with somebody. Do they have to be in your location, or can this be online, or do they have to be in California, wherever you're located at?
Well, no, that's a whole other tangent then, right? For my local business, like in Calgary, where I reside, I love it personal because that's who I am. I love the one-on-one time also. But of course, if I reach out internationally, it's going to have to be through Zoom or a phone call. I actually probably prefer phone over Zoom because I'm looking at a green dot right now, and I'd way rather just focus on listening to your question, giving some, like sometimes it's too much on Zoom. It's like too much going on. But I think it's important to know who you're looking at and who you're talking to before you go on that phone call. But no, people can be, I can help somebody from anywhere. I mean, my niece, I coached her for a year. I think once a week she'd call me. And I mean, she did fantastic. So you don't have to be in face to face. It's just lovely if you can be.
So
I
is
think
there a
Nemo
certain
just
time
wanted
where
his
you
hand
know
held.
if you haven't
Yeah, Nemo just wanted you to touch his arm.
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. So is there a certain time where you during the session you can decide, okay, we can end this session. This guy's ready to go on his own, or this is just a continuous training.
I think it depends on you. I think for me personally, because I've had a mentor my whole life, it's a beautiful relationship. It's somebody I trust that's smarter than me, that, my struggles are few and far between now. I can usually sort things out on my own because I have the skills. But every once in a while, I get a little doozer where I'm like, damn, I got insecure. Like I need a fucking lot of attention from my guy. I'm like, what's going on for me? And we have to peel that back a little bit. And so I phone her. And it's like, I want that for everybody. I want that for everybody, that they have somebody, you can call a friend, but if they're not skilled, you just really end up bitching and complaining. They can't drive you towards a solution. And that we all want relief. That's what every drug's looking for. Relief from our pain, from our problem. So
that completely makes sense. I completely understand you because I called Rob. I was having a tough time, and he told me to go screw myself. So,
right.
because
you guys you're fun like that. You tease each other, but come on, like you also have great big hearts that are hurt, and you need to be held a little bit more.
I think that you're one of the best things that I've heard from you today, Kristi, is that you listen to men.
Yeah.
People don't understand. Like we catch a lot of criticism, and a lot of the criticism is really should be geared towards only a small segment of us, but all of us are catching it, and we're not listened to. We're not listened to in the press. We're not listened to really online. If you go online, everybody is saying how terrible men are, and so it is very good to see someone, a woman, who is saying that you see us. And I think I think a lot of men are going to appreciate that,
yes,
just the listening part.
yeah, that's very refreshing.
Because absolutely, like a lot of men just want to be heard. In some of our relationships, we're not being heard because it turns back around. I've been told you're a man, deal with it, right? But you're gonna cry, and then I have to deal with that. But not going to go there, but I'm just saying that I think that that's great. A lot of men are going to appreciate that, and I just hope your business blows up because there's going to be a lot of happier men in the world.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and not only that, but I want my women to have good men because there's great women too, and so there's so many great people in the world, but it's like we're missing each other, and we want to blame. Yeah. And so the only thing that I'd suggest is let's stop worrying about the world and society and Facebook and Instagram and just worry about your own life. What brings you joy? Let's get some more of that. We're not going to fix the world, but we can fix each other one person at a time. You want to give a gift to your family? Heal your shit. Heal your shit. And live a good life and be a happy person to be around. Now, I know I'm not all like happy. But this is the side effect to doing the work. So I think it's a pretty big benefit.
What do you mean by happy?
Well, I'm not going to go out and preach like be happy. Well, yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal. We all want that. That's like a no-brainer. But how do we get there? Well, We got to start looking inside of ourselves. We got to start looking at what's keeping us down. We got to look at some of our decisions we're making. How are we talking to people? Are we accountable about our own stuff? You know, what words are coming out of our mouth? All those things matter, and they're just skills.
You said something earlier about stop comparing. And I think that's huge for men, and not just for the four of us, but for our followers as well. That men are obsessed is the wrong word, but they're very concerned about that, and they need to just focus on themselves first. Am I out of line here, or what do you think?
You're absolutely right, and you're not alone. Women do it too. I mean, look at us. I don't even want to say who has it worse, but the worst thing is comparing, because and you know, when I try and teach people, it's so funny because I'm trying to get people to realize nobody actually gives a shit about your life. Like, my life really doesn't affect many people. I mean, I affect people, but my life affects me.
Right.
And the person I'm probably the closest to, but even that, like, who's that? Like, I have pretty good balance. So I only, like, when I think about my sister and her choices and my friends and theirs, like, who am I to judge? First of all, this is about them. So it takes me off the hook. I don't have to worry about them because that's their job to fix their life or heal their life or love their life. So it's really freeing, isn't it, to just worry about yourself?
It is.
Yeah.
Choices. I can't control other people's choices. Why would I want to compare that? Yep.
Yeah, and we actually don't have very many. We don't have a lot of control, unfortunately, when we really think about it. You know,
right?
Kristi, can you tell me about your YouTube channel and what you hope to get out of that place?
Oh my gosh! Well, I don't even know about. I mean, I thought I better do something. Like, you know, everybody talks about Instagram. I don't love any of that. I love my life so much. I don't want to look at somebody else's life. Like, I just could care less. I got a life to live here. So I'm not attracted to that whole social media thing. I think personally, I know it exists and I'm not against it. Like, whatever. This is the technological world we're living in. So I'm not fighting it and making it wrong, but it's just not my thing, I don't think. Until it is, I could change my mind for sure. But video is one thing I felt like I could do. And I do feel like I have a lot of things I can help. And if I can help one, I can help many, right? And so I feel like there's something that I can do for free that at least can help if they notice. But then, of course, now I'm bad for even marketing it. Like, nobody knows I do it. Like, it was so cool that you chimed in on me because, you know, I don't have a lot of views. I'm not pushing people towards it. Nobody knows. I'm kind of like, especially my own circle, I'm like, yeah, I haven't really told anybody I did it. So I guess there's just still a little bit of fear there for me because why aren't I? I don't know, but I don't really do things I don't make myself. I do inspired action. And so far I've been inspired to make these videos and I have no idea where they're going, but I do always know I'm going to get where I need to be. So I don't know. I don't know where it's.
Well, you're here with us.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
It's working. that little ripple.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And it has to start somewhere, just like you guys. I mean, why do we do anything that we do? Because we want to. Because something in our heart tells us we should do this.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
That's what happened with Rob and I. All of us when we were on our trip and decided to do Middle Aged Still Single.
Yeah, and so
felt like we had to do.
So, go ahead, Mitch. Got something, Beth?
Oh, I was gonna say, she mentioned fear. Kristi, you mentioned fear, and I think that's a whole nother show because I think people are paralyzed, not by society, but by themselves, by their fear or insecurities to do what you're doing, getting out there and just saying, hell with it. I'm going to put these videos out and what happens, happens. I know what I want. I'm going after it and I'm going to get it. But fear paralyzes a lot of people. And I bring that up because I'm a little guilty of that. There are some things that I have not achieved yet due to my insecurities and my fear. And I'm working on it. I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
But it's out there. And so you said something that really prompted me to bring that up.
Well, and thank you for sharing because I think this is what I want to talk about. This is the stuff I want to talk about is the truth. Like, I mean, we can talk all day long out here and I find a lot of people do that. And it's like, I want to bring it back. Like, yeah, like where do you find your holding yourself back? Because I believe that's why I think everyone is so smart. Like, you know exactly what it is. You just haven't tweaked it through yet. You know, like you're all very smart. And sometimes it's a click and a decision that I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe it's not the right time. And because your intuition is so smart, just follow it. You know, men have extremely wise intuition. I don't think the ladies know that.
Could you let them know, please? Could you tell them?
It's our superpower.
I do tell people, of course, hey, I'm a good listener. Well, it's a skill I'm working on because I'm a talker. Like if you talk to anyone that knows me, they're like, oh my God. And I talk loud. So yes, one day, of course, why wouldn't I be paid to talk?
Sure.
My big, you know? But back to the listening and the talk, like people can talk, but God, we got to follow up and put some meat on that bone, you know? Like I don't want you to be held back by fear.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, so when I started looking, I actually searched middle age to kind of see what was out there in our genre, and I came across your video. And I really liked your content. I really liked your energy, and you were 300, 400% better when I talked to you on the phone. I mean, it was like a whole nother, different personality, just like, you know, more casual, more like out front, more like sitting and talking to a friend. Yeah. So, like I said, I like your content a lot, and you know, I think you will be successful. I think people that bring value will eventually be successful, and somebody will see the value. I hope that we can actually help with that, because I would love to be able to say down the line, it's like, hey, we knew Kristi you know, when we were like three of her 25 subscribers, you know. But I think, you know, you will be successful. I don't think there's any doubt in the world.
Rob will be calling you from Thailand.
That's right. I got to make sure I get good internet. Oh, like I'm going to be the only one in Thailand, brother? Like I'm going to be the only one, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Kristi, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Thank you.